And even like I know earlier on when we were starting our podcast almost a year ago, I said our niche, we're gonna have to find the niche, and I know inevitably it's gonna be Punjabis, South Asian people. Like we can try to grab white people and Chinese people and black people, but at the end of the day, it's going to come down to our people. And I was
That's
okay
your
with that.
community. No, it's okay. Lean into your community. That's one of the strengths we have right now, is that our community is in strength in here in numbers, and we do have the strength in terms of supporting each other. We have momentum. So yeah, it's important that you do that. And then obviously, how do you build around that community, and how do you also involve commerce in that community? You know, let's all support each other financially, however it is, right? Yeah.
I was trying to think of what questions we had left, and I was like, shit, I think we got it all.
So I have a question for you guys, and this is just, I think even for me, that what I would like to learn from you is, why do you guys want to even do this podcast? Like, why do you guys want to record something like this? And what do you want to leave behind? What's your legacy? What's your goal?
That's a crazy one. I've thought a lot about it in general, and I'm sure you have as well, like in your own head and everything. The whole idea of this podcast came just, the idea was funny because we look the exact same. We're 5 years apart, and that's one of the first things we talked about in our first episode. We make a big joke out of it and everything like that. Everyone was like, yo, you got to do something on social media. You got to put yourselves out there, it'll grow. And we knew with our jewelry business that we had to do social media anyways. So we're like, let's just talk about stuff that we talk about anyways. And imagine if somebody just kind of snuck in a microphone and just hit record. And we made a production out of that. Whether it was like deep topics like ADHD and all these kind of like more emotional, vulnerable topics, or just like fun stuff like working out and like, you know, what we did kind of things, all that kind of stuff. And to create this brand for ourselves, like Matab and Teshwar, Saint Soldier Project, Duality, Yin and Yang, all that kind of stuff. And to take that growth that we have and to push it obviously for like business aspects and financial and all that kind of stuff. But just to create this, and it kind of came out without even us actually trying for that intent, was people reaching out and saying, yo man, you really are talking about ADHD and like funny parenting stuff or whatever, and like I relate to this. And that was honestly the reward itself, is like realizing that there are kids and young adults and adults out there that are in fact going through this kind of stuff, understanding and very, very relating to this. And we're like, okay, yo, it's not just me and Teshwar that's going through like this funny stuff or this like mental stuff and whatever it is, but there are other people out there that do relate to this, that are reaching out and telling us like, this is what I go through. You guys are putting it on a platform, and like I hope you succeed and so on, kind of thing. That's what it is for me. Like, and in terms of the legacy, or we're like so early on into this, it's crazy to even think about what legacy we'd leave behind. But it would be, I think the highest honor would be for someone to like, and we've had people reach out in public and to be like, yo, you guys are doing a good thing. You're representing Punjabis or Singhs in a good way, in a positive manner, not like trashy or whatever. And I'm like, all I can really say at that point is like, thank you. Like it's a very high level of an achievement, even though we're still very small and growing, and it feels good. Like honestly, it's kind of one of those moments where like, okay, it feels good. We are doing something within the community, whether it's like here, we've had people reach out from like England, we have some listeners in Singapore, and it's a good feeling. And for us, it's that motivation to kind of keep going and everything like that. And like, what's your, man?
My answer is a little bit different, and I think this is something that it's been in the back of my mind for a bit. But when I did approach, I mean, if any two guys sit in the room, they're like, we should be in a podcast. Aside from that, throwing that to the side and putting it in the back pocket, I'm going to be bold enough to say that, you know, I was inspired when I watched people like Joe Rogan or, you know, Chris Williamson, David Goggins, and they're sitting there across someone you get an opportunity to sit with someone very, very intelligent, right? Like we chose to reach out to you for a reason, right? Because there's something to learn here, right? You're doing something in the female industry, you're doing something in a business, and I can learn from that, right? Forget the mics, put everything away, put the cameras away. Like, even why not just sit here and have a conversation, right? And then we get to show the world, right? Because it's through conversation that we learn stuff, we pick up skills that are transferable. And so I want to be as bold as to say that there isn't a niche, I think, in the world right now for people doing this for our community, right? I think like a lot of the world, the biggest podcast in the world. Joe Rogan's taken a huge feed on it. And I've always loved it. He gets the coolest, most smartest people to come on and just drop knowledge on this guy, and he's become smart because of it, right? Like, he's just a UFC fighter who, I mean, he's a part of the UFC. He did a lot of work in there, and then he took that to another level by doing comedy, and then this, and he's sitting across CEOs, the president, you know, like, why would I not want that? And why would I not want that for our community for us to be responsible for that, right? And I think this all came from I'm gonna keep repeating this, but my parents, right? Like, we have a lot of people, like me and Matab, have been raised well. I'm gonna say it, right? We've been raised well. We've been learned to offer food before eating it. These things are not as common knowledge as you might think, and you want to share this, you know, how to be a good human. Not that we are perfect, right? By no means, but we've learned things along our path that I think are worth sharing, whether that be Sikhi, right? I want to spread that because I think there's a beautiful message to be a Sikh, to learn, right? What it really means to just be a learner in life. And I want to sit there and across the room and just shut up for a minute and be like, what does the person have to say? And so this thing we're creating, Saint Soldier Project, you know, we haven't earned $1 from this, and I don't care. Like, this brings us exposure. It brings us in a room to sit with you, which may open up another door. And so that's all this is it's a door opener, and to learn to how to be that person who can gain spiritual wisdom. And then now let's put action to it, right? The saint and the soldier, the duality of where we can take this, and then to help any other page that we're doing, right? Because now they know this unique, iconic look, which is, you know, a Sardar with like, how we look, people notice, right? And it's, why not use that to our advantage? That's why Guru Sahib put the turban on our head, right? Is that you cannot be missed within even 100, right? And so we want that ability. I think there's a lot of podcasters out there, Modern Brown Man podcast, right? Like, those guys, we learn from them, and it's like, good, man, keep doing this. Like, keep talking about the good values that we have, right? Spread that message, and you know, bring this what we've learned, because it's really kept low, and we think it's important because we're in the community. The world needs this, right? The world needs to learn about I think a lot of the values that our parents have taught us, and I think what Sikhi has taught us, and we spread that through business. You can drop that kind of knowledge everywhere. So, hey man, this is the beginning. We're on like episode 11, right? And it's
awesome,
I can't
guys.
wait till
it's just taking off from here, man.
Yeah,
it's just taking off from here.
And we're cracked enough to know that, like, we want to, like, take this thing to the top. You know what I mean? And it's like, and whether it's business, and I was even saying earlier, like, you have to be a little bit crazy,
yeah,
to want to put yourself in this position of, like,
and you can't make it about the money, like you said. It's not about earning $1. It's really about, you have to have a bigger purpose for it, right? Otherwise, it's not easy to go to someone's arrange and, you know, bring all the mics and set up and everything. And that's why, you know, I've made it my goal to get onto 100 podcasts. And I was like, you know what, I could start my own, and I did. We shot 3 episodes, and I, like you, have the same drive to do my podcast. I want to sit down with other entrepreneurs and specifically do a podcast just about how people started their business, what things they've learned. So I'm in the process of shooting mine, but God, does it take a lot of work. And I was like, you know what, I could continue to make that work, and I know I will, but I think I've also made it a goal to say, you know what, it'd be great also to gain exposure just working with other people like yourself, because you guys will obviously do the hard work of the recording and editing, and, you know, I get to leverage your network, you know, and even if it's a growing network or budding network, it's also something that I get to use as content. And right now, like I said, content is king, and it's what's currency. So if I could use some clips for this, for my own personal selfish show and my personal Instagram, you know, that's great content for my followers also to see, right? So there's definitely a duality to it. Yeah,
you got
a give and take for sure.
You got to do something for the mind. You got to do something for the body, and you got to do something for the soul, right? And for this is for the soul, right? This we don't get anything out of it. I mean, in the way that it's fueling and sustaining our life, right? You keep that health and gym and eating right and interacting with right people for the mind. I mean, for the health and the body. And then we have our work, right? We have our 9 to 9. I'm not even gonna say 9 to 5, but 9 to 9, right? And so this really is that way of how can we give back? How can we bring people over, and how can we learn? How can we have the opportunity to sit here and do more than just make that money, you know? Because it's never enough. And then this has to be that in-between thing that me and Matab are doing to, you know, to put that check mark on that box for like, we left with more than what we
The
came.
money helps
we
push
gave them what
things
we came.
forward, gets you better equipment, gets you better studio space, whatever, all that kind of stuff, right? But it's not like the thing that's going to give you what you really want at the end of the day.
It's not going to get you out of bed to go meet up with someone and start shooting the next podcast.
I couldn't have, like, funny example. I couldn't have been like, yo, Chandan, I'll offer you $10,000 to be on my podcast right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's like just a funny example like that. It's the fact that you wanted to sit here, talk to us. We wanted you on our show, and again, the money pushes things forward, but it doesn't get you where you really want to go at the end of it.
No, yeah, and that's a lesson. I mean, even for me, I remember when we first got the show and we had, I think it was Canadian Tire or somebody reached out to me, and they wanted me to appear on, I think some internal community meeting, right, where they wanted me to say a few words about, what it's been like to be on the show and how I got here and whatnot. And I was like, yo, man, I made it on TV now, man. These guys are offering me, like, I need to get paid something at least, right? It was like, I think the first opportunity I ever got. I was like, no, man, I should be getting paid something. And I'm expecting, like, $1,000 paychecks and $2,000 paychecks, speaking gigs, and I'm going to be on a TED Talk and this and that, and I'm on Netflix now, and all my shit's going to sell out, and it was not like that, dude. It was not like that. I got humbled so fast, and they're like, yeah, we don't know if we have a budget for you right now, Chandan. And I'm like, damn, I lost my first speaking gig, right? And then so ever since that, I was like, why am I going to chase that? Like, I mean, it would have been such a cool opportunity to even do that, to learn, work on my craft, work on my speaking, work on my own sort of things that are really important to me, and things that I do want to spend more time, like, speaking publicly and whatnot. Yeah. Yeah, so you got to not chase the money, because then you lose. That's where you start losing.
Like, it'll always come. You just have to focus on a purpose itself, right? What you started this whole thing for in the first place, and the money will come. Like, that's.
And over that, there's things you can't even buy, And I know that's like a very easy thing to say, but there's genuinely things that there's no currency for, right? Like a vibe and a feeling and emotions and
time,
building
time,
characteristics.
Time is
Time,
the biggest thing that I,
right?
with a kid now.
Yeah.
I've realized that the last 2 years, the SOPs that me and my wife have been putting in place, and my sister been putting in place over here at this store, it's what allowed me to be at home for a big chunk of the past 2 months, and be at home more days than be at work, and knowing that I have a store that can run itself. I have the systems in place. They know how closing goes, daytime goes, how working with clients goes, and that's important. And now I've been able to buy a little bit of my time where I can spend that at home. And
that's the biggest thing
I been
right there, yeah.
Not where I am now, had I been 10 years ago, there's no way I would have been able to have this much time that I have
literally
now.
the biggest thing, man. Like, me personally, that's exactly where I am in my life right now. I'm getting married next year, and my goal.
Chandan, help him out.
Yeah.
I know a place, bro.
Oh, you know
I
a place. Yeah. I don't know. Does anybody know anyone? But I'm getting married next year.
I got you.
Amazing.
Fam. I got you. Yeah.
that was the whole purpose
you
of
watching,
the
we got
podcast
you.
anyways,
Just
yeah.
come in early. 1 year advance is what I always recommend. I know it sounds crazy. People are like 1 year before the wedding. 1 year before the wedding is when you should be getting started wedding planning.
Like, I'm a little late then, so I need to.
You have time against your side,
against
you. You have time on your side versus some people who wait 4 months or 6 months before the wedding. You don't have as much time. You don't have as much options to choose for vendors. You don't have as much creativity that you can put into outfits. You can't take chances because now whatever you get is what you get. So, we have the customer guarantee here. So if someone orders something from our store, you can tell this publicly as well, to be that if you order something, if you don't like it, we don't force you to buy it. So no other store that I know in North America or India offers that policy. So you can make something from red to blue, and once you get it, you're like, I don't like the way it turned out. I know I asked for blue, Chandan, but this looks like a Toronto Maple Leaf sweater. I don't want to wear this. No problem. You don't have to buy it. I'll remake you something free of charge, but I just need the time. So that's one advice I give for any brides and grooms. Side topic. Please start 1 year before your wedding if you can. It allows you to have more options, more flexibility, be more stringent on your budget versus just making decisions because you don't have options. Yeah.
Yeah, but no, it's true. The freedom is the ultimate, top of the pinnacle kind of thing. If you are able to sit with your loved ones and your family on a Saturday and not check your phone or not need to.
That's the main thing.
Yeah. And peace, bro. It goes on to peace. I know lots of multi-millionaires in my circle that I've interacted with, and I see them, and unfortunately for a lot of people, I don't see peace. I see a lot of people just chasing the next dopamine hit, right? Whether it be buying something or attending something or being somewhere or being recognized for something, it's like you're constantly chasing the next dopamine hit. And that is also something that's not healthy. I mean, I'm sure, yeah, they definitely made their millions, but it's not a lifestyle that I personally find peace in attaining, So I make sure that you have to have that personal side of your lifestyle, just having some peace in your life. That's important. Like, I don't take work calls in the morning. Like, that's one time I reserve for my wife and myself. well, that's our time for us to sit down, have a coffee, maybe do japji sahib in the morning, and then put on a YouTube ambience channel, and we'll just talk, and that will be my moment I reserve for me, and that's that time I block off, right?
Yeah. See, like that. It's so important that I think that's why like people listen to this. Like I'm here. I'm in my life. Matab, you can speak for your own. I'm sure it's similar, but like in my life, I'm getting worried about that. I'm like, am I gonna just build a system for myself? And I'm being like just very human with you. Like, am I gonna build a system for myself where I'm on the phone all the time? Because like I want to get off the phone.
It feels like that for me too, man. If honestly being straight with you, bro, it feels like that. When my wife is the first one to attain John, you're always on your phone. You're always on your phone. I'm like, do you know have any how much this little computer controls my life or has involvement in life? It's customers, it's suppliers, it's interactions, it's potential businesses, it's your social life, it's everything. It's on here. But yeah, you have to be able to draw a line at some times or be like, you know what? For some people, it's their evenings. They don't like to sacrifice their evenings. They're like, I'm not sacrificing my weekends. For me, I haven't had a weekend since I was 18. I don't have weekends. My weekends are here at the store. But I have my Monday to Friday. I make sure that my morning time, that's the time where I'm like to just be on my own, meditate, whatever. And you have certain times where you want to still feel human, right? And still feel grounded and connected.
And that's what those zeros in the paycheck and like that's what the time you buy, right?
You're buying
if you
it,
want to
yeah.
I like this is the and just kind of like expanding on that point is like I'll tell my girl all the time. I'll be like, I don't want like the money and I don't want the zeros. I just want to be able to like go to the gym at 2 p.m. on a Wednesday and not worry about nothing. You know what I mean? And I want to like me and you, okay, let's go get coffee randomly on a weekday, because that's what we've bought with the money that we've made from like whatever, right? And it's that freedom, and more importantly is to be able to like hang out with your kid in the morning and not worry about like the boss calling you or the stress of whatever.
That's why we don't work 9 to 5 and we work like
9 to 9.
18-hour days, 20-hour days for that reason.
Exactly.
To be able to have that 1 hour because it's so much more important to us.
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
No, but I'm getting like to finish. Like I'm getting worried about that. I'm like, am I building a system? Am I building a life where, like, I'm not gonna have that. I'm not gonna be away from entertaining it always. And that's where doing what you love is important, because then it doesn't become work. It's like another order comes in, yeah. I'm there. I'm like,
now's the time to grind, bro.
Yeah,
now is the time to grind. Yeah. I'm not saying that this lifestyle is for everyone. You have 3 kids at home, I understand. Like, your life looks very different for you. Your side hustle time looks very different for you. But if you don't have that commitment, and I tell this to a lot of people who are younger than me, I'm dating myself, but I'm about to enter the 40s at cool new 30 club. But as I see a lot of 20-year-olds and early people in the early 30s, I tell them, is now the time that you can grind and put your every living, waking moment into accomplish something, into creating a foundation, so that when you do have experience under your belt, you can say, hey man, my mornings are for me, and I'm not taking any work call before 12 o'clock. To me, that's really important. I've earned that now. I've earned that now in the past couple of years. I'm like, all right, man, that's what I'm doing. But it wasn't always like that. But for now, that's what I feel I deserve now, at least
it's
that
longevity
much.
of it all, right?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Is this what you would say to, like, okay, I'm 25, right? What would you say to me? Like, and I want to listen and really figure this out. Like, because I'm in a place where I'm very turbulent, right? I've transitioned from a place where I was really confident in what I was doing, but I want that freedom, and I know that's only earned, in my opinion, as far as I'm concerned, through entrepreneurship and business, because like I work as much as I want, but when I don't want to, no one's to stop me. I'm my own boss, right? But then how do I stop myself from hitting just riding that train for too long, right? So you've done a successful business in a career where your father, like, there's a lot of parallels here, right? Your father has done the business that you're in now. It's a female demographic oriented. I'm the same way, right? I deal with jewelry. I deal with diamonds especially. And I learned from my father, right, who's been doing it for the past 30 years. I really need like a brother right now. Like, what would you say to me, man? Like, what should I stay away from, and what should I give a lot of attention to, so I can what's that wisdom you have for me?
I would say the biggest one-word answer I could give you is patience. The thing with the 25-year-old and the 20-year-old and even the 30 years old is that there's a lack of patience. Everybody wants to be a millionaire by 30. Get real, guys. Like, get real. Like, our generation, the 20-year-old generation, the even 30-year-old generation needs to get real. Dude, you could not hit that in the first 40 years of your life, and that's okay. You don't have to have this box that you need to scratch by the time I'm 30 and I want to be in Bora Bora having vacations. No, dude, everyone has a different path. And you have to have patience. But just know that if you put the work in, you will see the benefits. You will reap the results. But you got to put the work in. I was working at the store. I was working at the food tour company. I was working at my own marketing company. I was on the board of directors of the BIA. I was learning, and I was going to mentorships. I was going to Tony Robbins. I was going to Gary Vee seminars. I was going to Landmark seminar where I just worked on myself for 3 days. There was things that I did in my 20s and my 30s that set me up for success because all I did was just do stuff. I never sat around ever. The biggest thing I could possibly do was hang out with friends on one Saturday night here and there in my early 20s. Even that I got out of by the time I was like 28, 29. It was important for me to just grind and work hard because that's where I felt I was actually making momentum, moving the needle. Every day, every week, every year, it just felt like there was more and more movement. And so you have to also, to that point, look back at where you were last year and be like, yo, this year I have a podcast with 11 episodes that no one in my industry has. No one in the jewelry industry has 11 episodes under their belt like you guys do. So be patient in that, man. This is just the starting. You're already 11 episodes ahead of any of your competitors in this space in terms of exposure or, gaining life experience, speaking to other people. It's way more experience than any of your competitors. Imagine how that's going to be compounded 10 years from now. Exactly.
Oh, it is, man.
He's right. It's incredible.
Even if you're just 0.01% better every day, man. Even 1% is a lot of pressure to put on yourself.
Yeah. There's like
just
that
a tiny
statistic
little
picture.
increment better every day.
Yeah. And okay, so what I'm grabbing from this patience, and I like to think I am patient, but very impatient in the same way because like when I know I this is entitled, but when I deserve something or perhaps like it's time for me to reap that reward. This is me being very, very genuine here. It's like that's when my heart, like I'm like, damn, man. And that comes from two things, and I want more knowledge from you, which is the competition, right? Like I feel like everything has been saturated nowadays, right? Like look at your industry. Like it must be the biggest thing that's been saturated, which is like the apparel, right? For women at this. And then the second one that came to mind while you were speaking is that oh no, I forget. The non-tangible kind of investments, right? So something like Tony Robbins, right? Something like what's that Matab Rohit's been telling us about to get into?
Oh my God, I was
Toastmaster, right? Toastmasters is something that our brother-in-law has been kind of urging us to get into. Is that you go and they teach you performance and public speaking skills, and you sit in a group of professionals that tell you like when to pause, when to hit the notes, when to hit higher and lower, and those things. So those are non-tangible because you're putting money in and it's like you don't get a direct kind of return that you can kind of put a value to. So two things, the non-tangible investments, what would you recommend for me and for anybody watching? And then the second one is like, how do you deal with a saturated saturated competitive market?
That's a good question, man. Let's figure it out together because I don't really have a straight answer for you. But this is one of the things that I think is fun about doing a podcast like this. You can kind of like shoot the shit with other people, kind of figure it out together.
Yeah,
just kind of being completely vulnerable with you. I don't have a straight answer for you, but I do feel like there's something there. I do feel like it's whatever you do, set aside a small budget of your income towards education. It doesn't have to be college education. It could be a Toastmasters course. It could be, a personal growth course. It could be a accounting course. It could be a course on Google AdWords. Set aside 10% of your income towards education. I think that's advice I should be giving myself too, because I haven't been learning as of recently. I've been more delegating and hiring people so I could run the business from a more higher level now at this point. But, make sure that you put some money aside and force yourself to educate and learn different things, whether it be something in AI right now, or something that's relevant to your industry or your business. I mean, AI is an easy thing that you can invest in right now because it's relevant to every single industry out there. There's nothing that AI is not going to be touching in the next couple of years. I mean, we've only just seen the infancy of where AI is. We haven't even scratched the surface yet. Imagine what it's going to be like 10 years from now, guys.
Oh my God.
And
scary.
I say 10 years because it might sound like it's far, but someone who's been in this business now for 18 years, 10 years is not a lot of time.
You'll be crippled there'll come a point where you're actually crippled if you don't know how to use that technology. The same way you'd be crippled now if you don't know how to use
social
Excel.
media.
Right?
I mean, I remember when I would would beg businesses. I'm like, please, just give me like $100 or $200, and I will create your social media profile. And they just couldn't see the benefit. They couldn't see the vision. They didn't understand why it was important. I remember when I was in class, we had this one guy. He had a back in the day, we used like those Garmin GPSs. There was no Google Maps, so you'd have a Garmin GPS. And his idea was to put your business on the GPS as a POI, a point of interest. And I was like, this is genius. And I was like sat in the middle of class, and everyone laughed. And he's like, you should tell my wife that. And he like the concept was so foreign then to have a POI on a map as you drive around and to have your business highlighted. That was his concept. And, lo and behold, later we have Google Maps, and you can search all these things now as you go to directions and whatnot. So it's so important to look to the future, because that's really where everybody in any business, whether it be personal branding, lifestyle coaching, fitness coaching, retail, jewelry, apparel, whatever the case is, you have to look towards the next future, because for a while people thought the TV was crazy. And before that, people thought the radio was crazy. So, technology is always evolving. To say that AI is crazy or it's not good enough or it sucks or whatever the case is, you're just not getting the technology. Like, don't blame the technology. Blame yourself for not learning enough about it.
Right. I think you answered both of my questions at once, which would be like, discover those opportunities through things like Toastmaster and understand that you might not see that value and be able to like quantify it right at that moment, but it equips you with the tools to speak. Like even this, like, Matab, like how did we speak on episode 1, right? Like it was like a nightmare. Go back and
watch. Oh my
right?
God, we spent the
I
first
tell
time
people don't watch Bollywood episode 1. It was brutal, bro. Like the first thing you do, anything sucks. No, it is what it is. You're gonna suck, but you're gonna get better.
It's repetition.
Yeah. The first
right?
time we ever recorded, I spent 9 hours.
Oh my God.
Just figuring out how the software and all the stuff works, and we lost all that footage. I think we only maybe had like 30 minutes or 45 minutes, and it was like half okay footage, echoes and stuff. It was, oh my God.
Oh, it was so bad. You
get better at it. You gotta keep trying though. That's the thing. What people don't do is they don't do.
People
don't
do stuff.
They'll buy the microphone for their podcast and they'll leave it in their closet. And I've been guilty of that.
Too,
I've been guilty of that. I have a microphone sitting in my closet from a few years ago that I still haven't set up. So you have to do though. You have to try something. You have to just keep on doing it.
But the first episode, or like when we tried to learn, we rented an Airbnb.
Yeah.
So because our parents didn't know and nobody knew, we rented an Airbnb. We changed up all the furniture. We sat there and tried to figure it out, and then it was so bad. Like in terms of like we couldn't figure out how to sync the mics up. We didn't know how to turn the mics on. And we were like, we're here to shoot episode 1. We started that episode at like 12 o'clock at night, and we got there at like 2 p.m. So we spent almost like, I don't know, the whole day just learning how to set up this stuff. And then we were so mad. We were eating junior chickens while we're like, yo, I'm hungry, man. Like, screw the episode.
And stuff, like everything, man. Nothing.
I had to run back to the house, and my mom's like, what are you guys doing? And I'm like, we're doing something. Why do you have an Airbnb 5 minutes away from where we live?
Yeah.
I didn't mind. My girl didn't even know what we were doing.
Yeah, it's just like to have the quiet, I guess, right? The quiet set.
Sorry?
To have a quiet set, right?
Yeah, we needed we were looking at like places to do like the podcast itself.
We wanted to make a surprise too.
Podcast studios were like hella expensive, man. So, and then this guy came with the like, yo, let's get an Airbnb, and it's just like a room, and it's like uninterrupted and stuff, and anyways, like
this is a little story, but like, it's like now we are speaking better, and like sitting with someone who's a very eloquent speaker, like you learn like, oh, this guy, like, how does he speak? Why does he pause there? Why does he not move? How does he use his hand gestures? Like these things make you presentable, and then these things matter. Like you can't put a price to that. Like, oh, this guy's like speaking is $1 million, right? And it's like there are people that can sell you stuff. My dad, your dad, like that guy will sell you, like, you'll sell like ice to a river.
Ganjanu Kangivich, right? It's like you have to have that ability. You have to be able to sell the ball in Manacomb. Right? Yeah. If you don't have the ability to do that, it's hard to make it in sales. But it's something. It's a soft skill you learn. Yeah. Through practice.
Yes. Yeah.
I'm sure the first time Dad stepped up to the plate at his grandfather's store, he probably sucked. Right? But he saw his grandfather. He learned that soft skill. You keep on trying, keep on practicing. I first sucked. I remember when I first joined the business, I wasn't really good at the sales part. I just liked, the whole business part of things. Even today, as much as I enjoy being a part of a bride and groom's big moment of their life, that's the really cool part. But, making a new design lehenga this year from last year doesn't really necessarily get me the most excited. But the whole process and supplying to the brides and grooms and running the business of it and knowing that I can make a sale and knowing that I can provide for my family and make an income.
And you also answered my second question, which was the competition part. It's like, you got to think different, right? Like Steve Jobs, famous, I love it. Like, think different. Always. He was always on that other side of the coin. You know, it's like, what is nobody doing, but everybody needs. And that's AI right now. It's like there's virtual assistants to help you out, right? Like there's people that can schedule posts for you just through a click of AI, and like put that time aside, because you might lose 3 hours, you know, beating your head apart. Like, oh my God, like I don't understand what the hell's going on. But then all of a sudden it's like, okay, I've streamlined this process. Like I can, this has become autonomous for me. And that's when you're working, when you're sleeping, right? That's when you really start moving to like that, you start jumping quantum levels, right? And so, yeah, and that's really good advice for me. And I know people listening, like I'm going to make a little snip of this just so they can hear this, because I'm telling you, the amount of people that are in that mind space where they're like thinking like I am, that, you know, they want to do something, but they're just like, who am I? Like, you know, like, but it's not about right now.
No,
you know, like
just be yourself, man. That's the best thing. I always think that people forget. It's like, who am I? What makes me so special? Dude, people relate to the most normal stuff ever. Like there's an episode where dad is constantly trying to eat sugar on the show, right? And
Yo, I love that episode, man.
you know, and so many people related to that, like a little bit like that, and that's real life. Like I'm constantly trying to, like, Dad, you went to Shoppers and you bought ice cream again? Like, please, like, just chill with the ice cream. And he's like, need Lala. I'm like, I don't want it, and you shouldn't be eating it either, right? And I'm like, let me take it away. And I've gone and I've actually thrown it in the garbage sometimes. I'm like, man, you need to like chill out and lay out, man. You're diabetic. You shouldn't be eating that much sugar. And then, you know, we made that conversation into this little bit onto the show, and that little piece that is so normal. It's just talking about eating sweets someone relates to and they identify so much with. You never know how they might connect with your brand later. They might connect with you later. It's these little boring things that are mundane that I feel is what is separating itself right now. It's like people are kind of over a little bit learning online. We did so much learning on Instagram, so much learning, and now it's more emotional attachment. It's like, how can your audience emotionally attach with you? And usually storytelling is one way to do that.
Our biggest video, number one video, that like our most watched video to date, and I'll probably stay like that for a long time, is it goes back to the CapCut thing you said, is our grandfather, him just doing a jikara, and we just recorded it. He recorded it quickly. We had a pot at home, and it was like the fastest video. We took the video, turned it black and white, and posted it.
Yeah. Went to sleep, woke up. It was like 8,000 views, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is gonna go. And then it just went, and it was like, you know, it's so nice watching that back now, because we get to hold that moment forever. Because our grandfather just passed recently, and it's something that, like, I look back at and I'm like, this is his legacy. He's, you know, he did this, and we sit down and we get to like watch that video of him in his one of his last moments, and it's a beautiful thing. But it's like it was nothing. It was just posted, right? Black and white caption.
There's no thought on it. Probably, and it was just so spontaneous.
No editing, like. And it's at just under 600,000 views right now.
My most viral videos are exactly like that too. My most viral videos are the ones we don't put any thought into, and I'll just have someone, I'm like, can you just grab this camera and just record this? And I'll just tell someone, you can pick any color you want from here. And that video did like 2 million views. And all it is just me opening a color book. And I'm like, you can pick any color. There's no extra charge for picking colors at our store. And that was it. There was no thought. There was no trendy music. There was no nothing. And it's our most viral video. It's crazy.
People
absolutely
like
crazy.
to, like, that's why Hopecore does so well. It's because it's just humans being humans. And it's like, boom, like, I love that. You know, I relate to that. I understand.
On, like, the highest level.
I had a question in my notes when I wrote, and I don't know if I want to ask it, but I do want to ask it, and I will. Which is like, besides the show, like, give us like a crazy story. I want to just what's like your dad especially, because I think I want to get a laugh out of it before we come to our closing notes. But what's like the craziest moment, even dangerous, let's say funny, whatever it is. What's something that was crazy that happened through all this Chandan fashion progress?
Actually getting the show. I think the show was the craziest thing ever. It blew my mind that this kid who wrote in our journal 17 years ago said that one day I'll have my own Netflix show. And then it came to fruition. And it was absolutely mind-blowing that my family didn't believe. Like, they shot the pilot with me twice, and a third time when we did the 2021 one, right, where we finally got picked up. So we did 3 pilots. So they shot it to me 3 times. And when the show finally got picked up, and the production company were like, we want to have another meeting. We're like, great, another meeting about to say, you know, what else we can improve on, or how else we can adjust the pilot. And they're like, we got greenlit. And I was like, on the side, I'm Googling, what does greenlit mean, right? I'm like, I don't know what that means, right? So it means that your project has been officially backed up, financially picked up, contracts have been done, everything. And then I was in so disbelief, and the family was in so disbelief. They're like, yeah, we're not doing this. And I was like, what do you mean? We shot 3 pilots. After all this, after 7 years of waiting, 22 rejections, they're like, we supported you because we support everything you do, Chandan, but we didn't think you'd actually get your own freaking TV show. And I was like, well, I got it, and we've done this, and we made this commitment, and we got to do this. And then they're like, no, nobody wanted to do it.
That's
they were
crazy.
Like, I was in such disbelief that how can you guys support me for 7 years, shoot this pilot 3 times, and now all of a sudden say, we didn't think it actually come through. We were just supporting you for shits and giggles. So that was pretty crazy. That was an absolute mind-blowing moment where they actually said, we got the show.
You're like, Chandan,
Yeah.
go to the store.
Yeah. It was
No,
like, everything's as usual. And then, you know, we have a financial advisor that my dad heavily leans on, you know, and he's kind of more of a business advisor. And he was also saying, don't do the show. And then that guy is like my dad's like, really go-to guy when it comes to business
like
advice, and he himself is saying, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it.
Oh, I don't think people understand
especially when
the gravity of what you've done.
But it's going back to what happened with your grandfather. I really wanted to leave legacy, and I was like, dude, imagine how cool it would be to have a show that my kids one day can see and be like, yo, that's your grandfather on screen over there, you know, and that's your grandmother on screen, and that's your auntie on screen, and that's your old man right there,
really cool,
you know, and one day my great grandkids are going to see this, and to know that I've done this little project that no matter what, people are going to forget about 10 years from now, but we forever have done this thing, and I've made this little piece of history over here, and that was something that I did not want to live with regret on my deathbed. And that's what convinced my parents. I'm like, Mom, Dad, I don't want to be 90 years old, 80 years old, and be like, man, what if I had done the show? How would my life have looked differently? What would I have been accomplished differently? What kind of impact would I have been able to make on this world? I don't want to live with that regret. And that was the single concept and thought that made them change their mind. To say, you know what? If you feel that strongly about it, and if you feel like you're going to live with regret at 80, I don't want that for you. And, you know, that's the one thing I owe my parents. They've always been level-headed with me. If I've been able to communicate with them eloquently, without shouting, without screaming, without cussing, without getting angry, and, you know, use my brain to actually communicate what I feel inside, that's what people relate to, and that's what my parents related to. And that's when they said, all right, man, if it means that much to you, let's do this. And next thing you know, after a trade show, after a pop-up, the very next day, the pop-up finished on Sunday. Pop-ups are exhausting. We have them usually Friday, Saturday, Sunday. We do them in Mississauga and Montreal and Ottawa. After a 3-day pop-up and 4 days of prep, on the Monday, we show up to a banquet hall, and we're shooting our intro dancing, doing like this, and there's like people running around, there's like Bollywood dancers, and everyone is beyond exhausted. Like, we have bags underneath our eyes, been like, running on fumes, and I'm making them dance over here, and I felt so bad. I'm looking around in the room, I'm like, they all hate me so much right now. They're like looking at what they're making, look at what Chandan's making us do this parkhan right now and dance for this opening number.
Everyone except for Cookie Uncle was acting though. Like, he's just like, this is just me. This is just who I am.
No camera. This is who I am.
This is who I am, because it doesn't feel like he's acting. But no. I think that's a good answer. And as much as like that may sound like, I think you felt like it was a basic answer, but no, I
think that's a legacy.
No, but
right there,
you worked on that thing for so long. It's like that's the dream come true, right? You wrote that down, like, I don't even know, decades ago, and then now it's here. So I don't think people understand the weight and gravity of how big of a thing that you did, and now it's like your season's deep, you know.
Write things down. Ladies and gentlemen watching at home, write things down. It's so powerful. And I'm going to give myself this advice too as I watch this clip later on. You know, make sure you guys write things down, because you'll be surprised what can happen when you put it out in the universe. It's not like, you know, sometimes it's like people think, oh, it's law of attraction. It's just about being positive, putting your intentions down, having your goals figured out. It gives you something to strive towards, and it gives you something to work towards.
Accountability, man. I think there's like people, like, we've made manifestation and energy into this like voodoo magic that we think
Yeah,
is
it's
like
not. It's not voodoo
but it
magic.
is
It's
at
not.
the same time. It's like these things exist, man. Like if you speak and you constantly talk about Netflix, it's like you're not going to end up becoming something that's
No,
not at
it
least.
felt so weird even for me, bro. So when we had this show and people are like, "Oh, you have a TV show?" I was like, "Yeah, it's on CBC. It's on CBC Gem." And I'm like, "Oh, CBC Gem." And I'm like, "Yeah, it's a new streaming platform. It's kind of like, the free Netflix in a way. It's made for Canadians. But I hope that one day the show will be on Netflix. I really think that after 3 seasons, I do think Netflix will pick it up, and that's the ultimate goal, is to have a bigger reach and a more wider audience." And I would say it, and sometimes I hear myself say it, and I'm like, "Pata nahi hoega, ye nahi hoega," Sometimes I feel silly just saying it out loud. "Oh, I'm going to be on Netflix," And then when Netflix announcement actually happened, I kid you not, bro, I wasn't even surprised. I wasn't even overjoyed. I didn't do like a backflip or nothing like I did when I first found out we got the show. That's where I lost my mind. But when we got Netflix, it was just like, oh yeah, I knew that was gonna happen. Like I kept saying it, and it felt so natural because I just kept saying it and putting it out there.
It's like a promotion, man. You're already working the part. If you want a promotion, you got to work the part before you get it, and then the title changes, right? You were already doing that level of work. You were already doing, what you needed to do to get that kind of that output. And then when it happens, you're almost like, let's go, let's do it. And so, no, man, that's really cool.
You have to have that belief. I remember in university, that was one of the projects I did, Blockbuster versus Netflix. And, there were people do Apple versus, other companies, IBM or Nike versus Adidas. And you would do projects based on different brands. And I remember doing Netflix versus Blockbuster, and I was like, man, like how Netflix had completely destroyed the Blockbuster game through the mail-in DVDs and the rentals, and then they're moving to a streaming platform. And just remember doing a project on it back in school. I never once thought that I would see my face or my dad's face next to Al Pacino or next to Meghan Markle or next to like these crazy people who were insane levels of celebrity and stardom. And you see like Cookie right there, and you see Bollywood right there, right next to that title floating through. And it was the first time I saw it, I was like, holy shit, like this is crazy.
Yeah.
Like
I
can't believe
just
this happened.
like you, man. It's people
I can't
just
believe
like
this
you.
happened. Yeah, but then I put it into universe, so I am also not surprised it happened.
That's where people need to understand is it's not this like magical thing. Like this thing is real. You speak about it, you write it down, you make yourself accountable. People make a lot of ghost goals, right? We say we want to do these things in life. This is something I learned from Jordan Peterson when he was speaking, which is we hold ourselves accountable to a lot of ghost goals. We say things like we make everybody January 1st, right? Everyone's putting down a bunch of things. And then the year ends and you didn't write anything down.
That. That's one thing I don't do, man. I don't do the January 1st goals put down. I think you should start well before January 1st. You should really start end of November, December. Start thinking about what you want next year to look like. But, New Year's resolutions, I find personally for me, they don't work. But I do encourage people to have ongoing resolutions, ongoing goals, and don't feel afraid to adjust and, pivot to what your goals were, what they may be.
Chandan, it's been an incredible honor, right? To sit here and to learn from you. Thank you for having us.
It was fun, man.
You're super busy. Chandan has a kid. He's opened up a brand new location in Brampton, downtown at Chandan Heritage. I'm going to give you your space to kind of do your pitch here, but I'm truly heartfelt, and Matab and I are very, very grateful that you guys entertained this opportunity.
This is why I do these things, because it's you're able to actually take a beat from your normal life in terms of my normal routine of working and whatnot, and it's nice to just talk and be intellectual with each other, and also kind of do it within our community and doing it with 2 other people also Sadars, and kind of seeing what similar experiences we have and what things maybe we're different on.
It adds like a layer
that's
of
a cool thing.
Importance personally for us to do it with you and like Sardar aspect and all that kind of stuff. It definitely makes it more special, that much more special.
It does. It really does, because like I said, like these things weren't really that common, if at all. Growing up, it wasn't like that.
Yeah, it was Apu from Simpsons. That's like the only Indian guy.
100%. That's the only relative we had on media, for sure.
Seriously.
Yeah.
So thank you so much.
This is a lot of fun.
We really appreciate it, and I hope that anybody that's watched can understand that it's patience. Right, it's patience that gets you to a place that your family and your legacy has built, and in being genuine. I think that's what we've learned from this conversation: is be authentic to yourself, be yourself, work really hard, right, mehnat, and just have the patience, and it'll come for you. You'll get the fruits of your labor, and I hope we can sit down and have a coffee soon again, and just chat. No mics, no nothing, But thank you for keeping it real with us, man. And we wish you so much success with the newborn, right, and anything that's to come. And we really appreciate this, man.